Hello, beautiful souls. Today's episode is so good. And before we jump in, I have some exciting news to share. If you've ever wondered where you're blocking money, this is for you. I've created a free quiz to diagnose your money wounds so you can heal them and unblock yourself to receive more money. Just go to moneywoundsquiz.com and answer 6 quick questions to get your insanely accurate and potent results. And if you're loving my vibe and want to work one-on-one to call in more feminine energy wealth, I would love to hear from you. You can shoot me a DM on social media or go to emilywilcox.com to learn more. Well, welcome back to the M Makes Money show. I have such a special guest here today that has an incredible mission on her heart. So I have Anastasia Vladychynska, and she has an incredible business as a certified customer experience consultant, and she founded her own consultancy. She's had incredible experience with, working at big brands like McDonald's and such to revolutionize their company's customer and employee experience. However, the reason that Anastasia is here today is because she's helping 100 of her girlfriends who had to flee the Ukraine that are stranded in Europe. They need help with accommodations, jobs, and support. So she has this big mission on her heart. And I knew that I wanted to have her on the show so we could talk more about that and find out how we can help. So Anastasia, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you, Emily, for inviting me. I do appreciate that.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about this mission of yours, what the current situation is with these Ukrainian women who are some dear friends to you.
Yeah, it's funny how it all started because I think 2 months ago, I was sitting down with my husband complaining. I was telling him, I wish I had more girlfriends. And because of the work, I never had time to actually, go sit down for coffee and all that stuff. So when I fled Ukraine, some of my friends started calling me saying, Anastasia, I'm in, Croatia, Bulgaria, all those countries close to Ukrainian border. And they would say, do you know anybody in, this country, this city where I could stay? And because of the work I've done and I'm still doing, international context has, always been something that, I would have. So I said, yeah, I actually know someone in Croatia that you can contact. And then that person connected them with somebody else and then with somebody else. So that's how it all started. It was only 10 girls in the beginning, but now it's actually 130. Okay. Yes. And I'm afraid that number is going to only increase.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how it started. And then I decided, it's impossible to connect everybody one by one. It's still 24/7, but then it was even more.
Yeah.
So what I did, I got them all together into one Facebook group. And I know everybody has a Facebook group now. That's why I never wanted a Facebook group. But I had, I needed a place for them to kind of communicate with each other as well. Because, somebody would be in Poland and that person would be with kids and they already found a place to live. And then somebody would be just coming in. So, they also can help each other right now. So it's much better. But yeah, accommodations, jobs, and support. That's what they need. Sometimes they do need, like when they're in an emergency, they would need plain money, but that's not that often. Mostly they just need it for, accommodation and some work. Yes.
Yeah. I love that. And I think like the service that you're providing is so incredible. Sometimes we forget the power of just our network and human connection.
Exactly. Yeah. And, I am so much rethinking the whole notion of networking now. Because when you're an entrepreneur, you almost think of networking as, even the word itself, it has a net and then work, right? So it's almost like you're going to expand your net to use it for work sometime. Okay, so we have it on the back of our minds that we're expanding it so that in the future we could,
Right.
But now I have realized, in a very hard way that once you lose everything, everything, your apartment, your job, clothes, stuff, everything. Network is the only thing that stays, like the only thing. So it's not about networking to get something out of a person. It's about building, real connections with people you like and not with people who hold the right positions.
Yeah. It's so true. I feel like my best networking connections, work was not what I was thinking of.
Exactly.
It's like we connected because of our kids or another mutual interest or volunteering for the same thing. And then it just so happens that there's a work connection or a way that we can help each other.
True. But it never was the first goal, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's so true. And anytime I've thought about it as the first goal, like there's always resistance.
Yeah.
Because it just feels kind of icky. It's like I'm connecting with you, but secretly I want to get something from you. It's like
exactly. That's why we are having those, hi, let me see how we can support each other. Please join my Facebook group or buy my webinar or seminar or something, like right away, straight away. That's why it's not working anymore, because we just want to hide from that and block those people.
Yeah.
We want to be viewed as a person and not a wallet, right? So yeah, I think that now it's even more, you want to know that this is a real interest in you and not just,
Totally. So did you grew up in Ukraine?
I did. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes. Yes. I grew up
you had already left before the war started. Am I correct with that? No.
No, okay. No.
Oh my gosh.
No. I was actually on a business trip when it all started. I was in the hotel, like usual life, like you would go on a business trip. I went on a business trip. I don't know why I had the gut feeling that I had to leave earlier, one day earlier, even though it was planned for, exact day. But I left Kiev. It was 23rd, and then the war started on the 24th.
Oh my gosh.
In the morning. Yeah, we were in the hotel with my colleague, all ready to do the workshop, all the materials, everything ready, And it was the huge auto dealership. So it's like, it's your normal life, And we woke up from explosions. And again, when you're sleeping, your mind tells you this is not possible. So I thought it was fireworks.
Yeah.
And only then my dad called me and he said, Anastasia, the war has started. You have to get in the car and come closer to the Polish border because it's safer there. And that's why now I have just one suitcase and that's it, because I was on the business trip,
Wow.
Yeah, I can talk about this. It's been 2 weeks now. So today I can talk about this normally. I don't feel that like huge pain from loss.
Yeah.
I don't know how trauma works, because this is the first time in my life to go through such a huge trauma, but at least like right now I can finally normally talk about that. Yes. Yeah. I have one suitcase and a webinar lamp and a computer to get me going.
Wow. Does it feel a little surreal still?
It's beginning to feel okay. In the beginning, it was it feels surreal that my beautiful city of Kiev is now black and white.
Yeah.
Or mostly black.
Yeah.
When I see pictures now, I almost feel like they're photoshopped. It's just, but it feels, before I left Ukraine to where I am now, we would stay in the western part of Ukraine, which is supposed to be safer. But then again, every 2 hours, the sirens go off. You have to run either to the basement or to the bathroom, and you sleep in your clothes, constantly, shaking like a leaf, because you don't know if it's gonna, if they will drop the Russians will drop the bomb or they will not. So you're so scared. I remember when I came here, I was like, I felt like a little animal in the forest, taking out from the forest where the fire is, really. And then, yes, you can't believe that those stories that your grandma will tell you about war, that you're now living through the same time, like the same time. And, I'm lucky because I fled almost, like 2 days after the war had started, or 3. Now my friends are still in horrible places in Ukraine, in basements for 10, 14 days, 15. Some of them don't have food. With some of my clients, I still don't have any connections. Like, they don't pick up their phones. There's no connection on Facebook, anywhere. I don't even know what's going on with them. Okay. And it's not like I know that people, when they think about Ukraine, because it is a developing country, they probably think they was a poor country and we didn't have anything to lose. But like Kiev, Dnipro, Kharkiv used to be beautiful cities. We would have Tesla cars driving the streets, third wave of coffee shops, barber shops. It's in beautiful cities. And now it's just, not all of it is ruins, but some cities are ruins. And you can't even process.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your willingness to share like what your experience has been so far, particularly because it is so fresh and so raw. I think, being in the United States, obviously we're getting information from the news, and it feels so far away. And yet, because of modern technology, it's very bizarre. It feels a little bit like we're watching World War II, but somehow you can watch the live videos of it, which is, it's hard to believe. It's hard to believe that in 2022, like, this is happening.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful that you're in a place where you're taking action, and that you're offering the opportunity for people like me and in my network. I mean, I work with so many women that run agencies or consultancies or coaching practices, and many of them are hiring. I'm running a program right now where I talk a lot about hiring and building your support team, and what does that look like, and how do you get the right people. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about, these 134 plus women that you're getting connected. So I imagine that many of them were working for Ukrainian companies. And so therefore the jobs go poof because, either the people are gone, or they're in survival mode, or they're actively joining the war effort and trying to fight. And so there's now not a job to be had. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's true. The only jobs that stayed would be for the women who are in IT, because all the IT sector in Ukraine mostly works for Europe and for the US. So that's, but yeah, out of 130, I'd say like 3% still have their jobs. And for all of the rest, it just boom, one day you lose everything. And so one of them used to be a marketing director for Toyota. Another one was a human resources director for Mary Kay. So because of the work that I did, and because of I also taught at the business school. So my bubble consists of business women.
Yeah.
Either entrepreneurs or working for those huge corporations. So these women, 2-3 degrees, English, Ukrainian, Russian, Polish, many languages, right? Mm-hmm. These women are, wonderful professionals. Right now, they're in the place where they're ready to do whatever just to provide for their kids. Because remember, if you had kids, you left Ukraine with the kids, and husbands are back in Ukraine. So they have to, not only care for themselves, but for the kids as well. Mm-hmm. So my biggest pain and fear right now is that those educated women would have to go and do some unqualified job.
Yeah.
just because they have to survive. That's my biggest fear, because it's already enough humiliation. It's already enough falling down. It's already enough losing everything, right? So at least for them, what we tried to talk about on our call was that we are still the same. So like if I'm a consultant, I'm still a consultant.
Yeah.
If she's a digital marketing person, she still is.
Yeah.
But it's hard to keep your identity because it was connected with everything you knew, right?
Yeah.
So I'd be super extra happy if those women found themselves the same or even better jobs where they could still, use their expertise and flourish.
Yeah. And so do many of them, they have a laptop, they have access to internet?
Yes.
And what is a good full-time salary in US dollars? I don't know what that would look like.
Yeah, it depends. The full-time salary would be, I'd say, starting from starting from $2,000 per month to $10,000. It depends on, the level, if it was a huge company or whether it was a small company. So it depends on the level of the expertise. But yeah, this would be and again, I understand that they would be eager now for, to do anything. Some of them have already started doing some VA jobs just because, they have the skill of organizing. Yes, they're super extra overqualified for that job, but
yeah, exactly. But you take what you can get quickly and then go from there. Yeah. Well, is there anything else that you want to say on this topic? Obviously, for anyone that's listening that wants to help, is there should we join your Facebook group, or like what would be the next step?
Yeah, actually, it's the Facebook group. I'm very protective. I only accept, the requests only from women I know.
Okay.
Because I know personally, that's what I mean. Because unfortunately, we have some bad news from Germany where women have started to disappear. So I am super extra protective. And if there's, somebody who wants to help, you can just write me a message on Facebook. I answer all of the requests. That is true. Yes. But then for the group, no, I'm very simple. I'm like, I probably even sound like paranoid, but I am. Like, I have to tell you, all the time I would post them, never give passport to anybody. Like, do this. Don't get into a car with somebody you don't know. Because, unfortunately. But at the same time, people were asking how to help. Okay. And they're direct things like jobs. Yes. Job opportunities. Then unfortunately, we don't have anybody in the US that far yet, neither US or Canada. So the majority of the women are in Europe. Right. So if you can accommodate a woman for a longer time than several days, because right now we are facing this wave of, some women have already been in refugee camps, but that's only for 7 to 10 days. Some women have already been hosted, but again, for several weeks. And now they need something at least for like 1, 2, 3 months where they can just, sit and relax. So, when people started asking if they could help, I personally don't like accepting donations, just like accepting donations. I feel like I have to work for that. So I have decided to do webinars on my own expertise. So sharing everything I've consulted those big companies, right? And everything on client retention, wow experiences, keeping your clients from dropping off. So I'm doing that, and the proceeds from those webinars go to my girlfriends. Okay. So that's how I do it. Now, I mean, I'm not trying to say that somebody who's accepting direct donations is doing something or not at all. Yeah. But for me personally, I feel, even some people I know, like they're paying for webinars and not coming. It's their way of, right. But then I still send them the recording. So I feel like I still have provided something. Yes. So that if you want to help, but also there is something that I try to talk about a lot these times. And that's a notion of a refugee. Okay. because I know that, right now we'll have so many refugees, Ukrainian refugees out there. And I don't know about you, Emily, but I personally have always thought that a refugee is somebody, I don't know, like, fleeing their country for nothing, maybe even lazy, don't want to work, they just want to use the social benefits and welfare. So I personally, being frank, I personally would look down at those people. Okay. But now myself being a refugee, my girlfriends being refugees, I'm like, okay, number one, I did not like that word.
Yeah.
I like something, and it's the legal notion for us here is temporarily displaced people. I like it more because everybody wants to go back. And second, if you would see a kid of someone Ukrainian kid joining the school where your kids are, or Ukrainian woman, you see her somewhere, and don't look at her that she's a refugee and she just wants the governmental money. All of them want to work. Like, I'm telling you, all of them. I'll give you one story, which is, so far it's been like, I'm actually thinking of collecting those stories and publishing a book, because it's just, those stories are just. So one girlfriend, she's a financial expert. She texts me and says, Anastasia, I'm in country, in Europe, somewhere in the country, XYZ. And she says, I came here with 2 kids. My husband is back in Ukraine. And I just gave birth to the 3rd kid. So I'm thinking she's going to ask for help, right? Or for money or for something. No. She says, Anastasia, can you give me some remote job? I think I can start in 2 days.
Wow.
So that's for you to understand what Ukrainian women are. We are hard workers, okay? It's even hard for us to accept help. We were talking with my girlfriends. She was at the gas station, and an older man came up and he said, are you from Ukraine? Because, the plate on the car was Ukrainian. She's like, yeah. He gave her the money. She would not want to accept it because we are not comfortable accepting help. We are used to, working hard, and, that's the way we get help and we get the money from. So it just rethinking the word refugee, immigrant.
Yeah.
All of those notions that the media has told us that these are people that, need to prove they're worthy of something until we accept them into society.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you sharing that. And it is interesting how we often, can't put ourselves in another's shoes until we're there. And as soon as we are, it's like, oh, I get it now. And it's so different than the way that I thought it was. Yeah. And I've always really believed that most people want to work. We get a lot of joy out of having purpose.
True.
Out of having something. And, there is a time for receiving, right? And I don't proclaim to understand, the metaphysical reasons why all of this is happening. But I do believe that, as women in general, learning how to be in our receiving is something that's really important for us. We've grown up in patriarchies, in masculine cultures. So we've learned how to be hard. We've learned how to be tough. We've learned how to work for everything. And yet, it's important. There has to be a balancing, because if you enjoy giving, the only reason giving is enjoyable is because there's someone on the other side that's willing to receive it joyously, right?
Yeah. No, so true, Emily. So many things I have been revisiting for these days, really, especially these times are hard for strong women, because it's almost like we've become proud of being strong.
Yeah.
And proud of being able to, you're a professional, you're tough, you're strong, you know how to earn for yourself, because right, it all works together. And now you have none of that.
Yeah.
So, and I even told somebody that all the feminist talk stops right when the war starts. Because then you just want to be a little girl, and you want all those, big men go and fight and protect you.
Yeah.
It's easy to be a feminist, sitting somewhere and sipping wine or coffee.
Oh my gosh, that is so true.
And have all those conversations. But believe me, when that time comes, you just,
I believe that. Wow, that gives me chills. It gives me chills. But, in that sort of those more traditional roles, right, where the men are providing the protection, it's like, what do the women bring to that equation? We bring hope. We bring vision. We bring love, feeling, like connection to the earth, connection to our lineage. And so, can we still do that? Right? Like, maybe it's an opportunity to like reconnect with that part of your feminine essence.
Yeah. And it's almost like you're revisiting all your beliefs right now.
Yeah.
And you're forced to, like, what does it mean to let go? Like, really letting go. Because I'll be frank with you, I miss my stilettos in Kiev.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm thinking, why didn't I take them? And then you realize how totally unimportant that is. And again, I'm not trying to say that now everybody, like, this is my friend's place. She's so nice of hosting us. And she has all this, she collects art. I'm not trying to say that now she has to stop collecting art because it's material. And no, like, we need those beautiful things around us.
Yeah.
But then one day you realize that your life is just a folder with documents. That's it. Right. Your passport, and that's it. That's you.
Yeah.
And how do you, how do you find your worth once again?
Yeah.
The worth which is not attached neither to your work nor to things that you used to own, to nothing but to yourself.
Yeah.
And so too many things.
I believe it. And, in the work that I do with my clients, we do talk a lot about, anything that you're seeking in the external, can you create it internally, right? I do a lot of money work with clients, and, we often think, well, once I get to this level, I've got this much in the bank account, or I've got this much recurring revenue, then I'll feel safe, or then I'll feel worthy, then I'll feel successful. And, I've learned the hard way that doesn't happen, because I've blown past those milestones and not all of a sudden magically felt safe and worthy and successful and all of those things. But it's like that little girl inside of us that does just want to feel like it's taken care of, and like she's safe, and like she matters and she means something. We can temporarily get it from the externals, but now you're in a very real situation where all of that's been stripped from you, and it's like, can I give it to myself? And it's not an easy practice. And yet that it is our life's work, because once we can create the feelings of worthiness and safety within ourselves, it serves us forever. No one can take it.
Yeah.
Well, as you were talking about the webinar, which I think is such a beautiful service, by the way, and I would love to do that. It feels to me a bit like what I call the hard money wound in my work.
Go ahead.
Which is, if I want to make more, I need to do more.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
In your
That's
situation,
definitely. Yeah.
it's like, in order for me to receive on behalf of someone else, I have to do something. And
yeah, because you feel responsible for receiving that money for someone else. That's why probably, I don't know. That's how I feel.
well, but why force yourself to do, 10 cartwheels and a back handspring in order to receive it, just to give it to someone in need? And not because it's not a beautiful thing, but what we find with the hard money wound is that there's a pretty low ceiling on that. Like, it works to an extent, and then all of a sudden there aren't any more hours in the day, or it's like the math stops making sense, right? It's like, if you want to 100x your business, you can't 100x your effort. It's not possible.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like inviting you into an unsolicited coaching session here. So
that's funny.
But what I would love to see, and what I coach my clients on, is really replacing that equation in your head with impact for income.
Okay.
Because rather than it being an effort for income and I'm always having to do more, it's like, if you can do the same amount, but all of a sudden your work reaches 1,000 women for each webinar, or 10,000 women, right? Or you recorded the best webinar and now you're providing the recordings for people. The impact is still there, right?
Yeah.
But now your time is freed up so that you can go impact more people, either through your work, through your webinars, through your philanthropy. And our brain likes this example because we can get behind it. So when you look at some of your favorite like TV stars, I use an example of like Ross from Friends. The guy still makes $20 million a year, every year. And he hasn't gone into the recording studio for Friends in more than a decade. Why? Because his work is still impacting people. That past effort is still reaching new people. They're still finding it valuable. Therefore, he still gets paid for it. And so our brain is very willing to accept that. Like, yeah, okay, that makes sense, right?
Yeah, exactly. For him, you're like, I'm not Ross, that's why. Yeah.
No, but I would imagine that the replay of your webinar is still so powerful, right? Like, does it have to be a fresh one every time, or can we free up some of that time for you to do more podcast interviews, reach more people, help more women get connected to resources? So you don't have to answer that question by any means.
No, that's true. That's true. You're right. And I have to think about that. You're very right. I come from a notion that I have to work hard. Okay. Even for myself, and talking about helping somebody else, I'll be like, 2 times harder because you're responsible for, for all those girls. Right. But then again, it doesn't mean that a webinar is worse than, the recorded version. The impact doesn't go away. What goes away is just a possibility to ask a question, but you can always, we can always do a Q&A session.
Right.
True. I just, it's much, let me tell you this, it's much easier to think business wise when you are not in the position where you are right now. Okay.
Yes.
So right now your business mind is, no, it's almost like you feel guilty for thinking business in this time. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So so that's why I'm really grateful for you saying this, because it's not about, it's not about the business, it's about the impact right now. It might turn into business sometime, but that's not my first goal for right now, at least, because I don't, there's something urgent. Mm-hmm.
Right.
No, thank you. I'm grateful for real.
You're welcome. And here's the thing, Anastasia, like, you're the kind of person that I want to be very wealthy. Like, more money in the hands of women like you is going to do very good things for this planet. And so when we feel guilty around receiving more money or having something good happen in our business because there are other people that are struggling, it's like, well, the money is going to go somewhere. So if the money flows easily to someone who's a good steward of it, amazing, right? Like, more money flowing to you is good for everyone. There's no doubt in my mind that you're going to help other people with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I really see that as like an opportunity for you to really like own that, you know, like if more clients are coming your way, amazing. If you're getting better contracts, amazing. If people want to send more money to you and you're connecting it to women that are in need, amazing. Like, that's good. That's what we need. And you don't have to do anything else for that. Like, you're enough today as is.
Yeah, that's the hardest concept to process. You're right. You're right. Huh, that's good. See, so I don't even know who needs, when I do podcasts, I don't know who needs who more, because, you're teaching me right now 120%.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that's the beauty of these things, right? Is the connection and the exchange. Because I feel the same way. Like, I always tell people, don't do a podcast to try and build your business, but do a podcast because you love talking to people and connecting and hearing their stories. And I feel like I get so much out of it. And then actually this perfectly ties back to what we were talking about with your webinar, because I feel like I get so much out of it live. Then I just so happen to take the recording and put it out so that it is available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and YouTube. And then so many more people get value out of it.
True.
And I like even forget the impact sometimes. That's like the funny thing about doing a podcast is all of a sudden someone will send me a message like, I just listened to your episode on such and such, and it changed everything for me. And like, I forgot I even recorded that episode.
I know. Sometimes you don't even exactly. Or somebody tells you, Anastasia, do you remember 5 years ago when you did, this class on and you said this? I'll be like, I said that.
Right. Exactly. Like, we forget, but the impact gets to have a life of its own. And that's such a cool thing.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, I want to make sure that everyone that is interested in getting connected with you knows how to do that. So are you saying that like a DM on Facebook is the best way to connect with you?
Yeah, because the majority of the time I'm on Facebook because the group is on Facebook. That's why, they keep asking questions and for help. So I'm there all the time. Facebook would be the best. Okay. Yes.
Perfect. So we'll make sure that we put your Facebook link in the show notes. And if you're listening to this and you want to send Anastasia a message, whether it's to have her do a webinar for your company, your team, your audience, or you want to offer some direct support, or you have an open position at your company, send her a private message on Facebook. I would recommend sending a friend request also, just because I know Facebook does that funny thing where if you're not friends, they put the messages in some special folder, which hopefully you're checking right now anyway, but send a friend request, send Anastasia a private message, and, find out the best ways to help support this cause. Anything else that you'd like to say or share?
Oh, Emily, I could go for days. So it's just, I think, I actually think that's already what we've talked about. That's already plenty for some people, seriously. And there are so many things to process. And because I think that all of us can become a refugee one day, not in terms of fleeing war, but when something major happens in your life, you move to a different country, you start a new job, you divorce, you get married once again, you almost feel like a refugee starting all over once again.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could put this either way. You could put this, the feeling of I have to start everything right away comes so many times to so many different people. But then you still have yourself. You still have your knowledge that's still there. You still have your experience. You still have you as a person, the same skills, maybe even better now, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
yeah.
I love that so much. And I'd love to have you back on the show in like 6 months or a year when hopefully this is a little more behind us and we can sort of process and say like, where are you at now? How are things going?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, I've started the company for 130 girls because I wasn't able to find the jobs for them. So I had nothing to do but start the company with them.
Maybe you will. I would love it.
So, yeah, I was actually thinking about that. I just can't find an idea that would unite everybody. But yeah, constantly thinking, what I could do for them.
I love your brain and I love your heart. And I'll say it again. You are the kind of person that I want to be so wealthy on this planet. So thank you so much for sharing this message and this mission with us today. And I am excited to connect on a practical level to find out how I can help all of these women. And I will also just be energetically sending so much love and support and just holding the highest vision for all of these women and children to get settled into homes that feel like a fantastic fit for them and to really start the process of rebuilding.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Emily. I really sincerely appreciate the support.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to today's show. Changing the way we think, feel, and talk about money will change the world. I truly believe that. It starts with you tuning in, and it spreads when you share this show on Instagram and Facebook and tag me at mmakesmoney. And you know what moves the needle the most? Taking just a minute to leave a 5-star review on iTunes. This show isn't free to produce, so let's multiply those dollars invested to help this show reach a bigger audience each week. Thank you so much for your help. I really appreciate it. And lastly, if you want more connection, more M Makes Money style riffs, and a safe place on the internet to talk about money, jump into my free Facebook group, The Money Club. It's linked in the show notes. Until next time, I'm wishing you health, happiness, and boatloads of money.